Garry Nolan says UFOs mess with our mind. David Grusch and Greer talk about the harsh security measures of the UFO control group, and a lot more. It's time for another UFO news roundup, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, well, let's just get right to it. This is from the hour-long interview with Ross Coulthart and Garry Nolan. A great interview. I highly recommend you check it out. Okay, new plan. I got a copyright claim on that version. So here's the new version. Garry Nolan is relating some information from Jacques Vallée, a story about a family that was in their car and they saw this UFO and they took a picture of it. But instead of the visual they were seeing on their picture was actually a little white, shape with the spokes coming off of it, which was very different from what they were actually seeing with their naked eyes. And Garry's point is that UFOs can manipulate our perception of them. Okay. Moving on with the rest of the video. Okay, now I can back that up from my own personal experience, from what I've seen and not seen, and from what others have told me. I have a friend of a friend that showed me an interesting picture. She had seen what she perceived as a giant plane. She thought it was a Boeing 747 flying low, like very low, over a Barnes & Noble. And, like 50 feet up, 100 feet above the Barnes & Noble. And nobody else was seeing this giant plane except for her. She grabs her phone and takes a picture, and when she looks at the picture later, all she can see is a little white dot high in the sky that might be another plane, or a very small plane. So clearly that's not what she was seeing. Something, a UFO or something like that, was projecting some sort of image in her mind, but it was allowing her to see something, but not anybody else. From my own experience, my major UFO sighting, where I saw the UFO that made the cross in the sky, that was just for me, and that was a continuation or confirmation of an experience that I had during an ayahuasca retreat. And if you want to learn more about that, check out the playlist under my experiences. I also know from various CE5 sessions I've been to, when others were seeing stuff in the sky, but I wasn't. It wasn't allowing me to see it for whatever reason, even though on that other case it was. So yeah, UFOs can manipulate your perception of things. And what does that mean? Why was it letting me see a UFO on one occasion and not on other occasions? Why was it letting my friend of a friend see this giant craft, but not an actual UFO over a Barnes & Noble, but nobody else? We don't have the answers to that, but they're fascinating questions, and we definitely need some answers to these. Meanwhile, James Ian Doley from Engaging the Phenomenon has made this clip showing Greer and David Grusch both talking about the harsh security measures of the UFO control group, of these, black budget programs. And so it's really interesting, so let's give a listen. And if you've never seen the Engaging the Phenomenon channel, I highly recommend you checking it out. One of my favorite UFO channels.
Like these other gentlemen and ladies that came to me and my group on the U.A.P. task force because they wanted a change. Some of them were in tears because they were threatened over the years. And
threatened by whom?
Both the program, because you can imagine, hey, we're going to read you in. This is treason. You will go to the Leavenworth and, you will be executed if you ever, divulge these secrets, right? So they were intimidated.
Well, have fun at trial.
Yeah. Well, the judicial process doesn't work quite the same on that program, but that's a sensitivity.
Oh, they don't have the Constitution in place?
I don't want to get
Why
into
doesn't
that.
someone just...
And this is a conservative estimate, unacknowledged. Congress doesn't know where it's going. The president doesn't know where it's going. A lot of senior military people don't know how it's being used and where it's going. My military advisor for 20 years was in one project that was a $3 billion unacknowledged special access project. The admiral that he was working under, where they basically went into a SCIF, a secure communication intelligence facility underground, Everyone's weapons were taken, everyone's cell phones, watches, anything electronic taken. One man went down there with them with a gun. And the gun was the security enforcement officer for that U.S.A.P, Unacknowledged Special Access Project, U.S.A.P. And they were all told, the guy took a bullet out of the chamber, and they said, if you tell anyone about anything going on in this unacknowledged project, there is a bullet with your name on it, and it will find you somewhere, somehow. Now, this is not a movie. This is actually how that world works.
So there you go. That's how this world works, according to Stephen Greer. And of course, he's right. And David Grusch is saying, hey, they don't even follow the Constitution. Well, that's Tucker's insertion, but David doesn't refute that. David does say the judicial process works differently for the UFO control group. And of course, it does. Now, I have a rocky, view of Stephen Greer. I have a nuanced take on Stephen Greer. I'm quick to point out the good things that he's done, but he has done a lot of bad things, and I can't overlook that as well. People always ask me, well, why do you dislike Stephen Greer? Well, dislike is a strong word because I am quick to point out the good things that he's done, like popularizing CE5. I think that CE5 could be key going forward. We don't need the government to disclose the UFO reality in a way, because we can simply establish contact with the phenomenon ourselves. And if enough people were doing that, we might actually have open contact. Now, we still need to know what the government is doing and what the UFO control group has been doing. They're working with some beings, they're shooting at others, they're kidnapping people. So we definitely need to know what they've been doing, and they need oversight or to be completely dismantled and rebuilt. CE5 could be a game changer, but Stephen Greer also has brought forth many UFO whistleblowers like Michael Herrera. And I think that is great and all to the good. And I can't wait to see what whistleblowers he comes out with next and what people like Michael Herrera do next. I'm hoping to have him on the channel in the near future. So Stephen Greer has done a lot of good, but he has also done a lot of harm, spreading toxicity amongst the UFO community, particularly against Lou Elizondo, and spreading lies and disinformation, such as saying there are no alien or non-human abductions, which is clearly untrue. According to our best information, the Roper poll done in the 90s by John Mack, David Jacobs, and Bud Hopkins, and with later information supplied by David Jacobs, somewhere between 2 and 5% of the world populace is being abducted. And most of those abductions are continuously, weekly, monthly, year by year, generation by generation. It's a massive, overwhelmingly massive project by the beings. It is clearly not all the military or the government, although, of course, the UFO control group is involved in some of those abductions, and there are the MyLabs where the military seems to just abduct people themselves, largely interrogating people about their own non-human abductions, trying to find out the technology the beings are using and what they are doing. So, Stephen Greer is full of it. He spreads lies. The UFO abduction phenomenon is massive and overwhelming. Yeah, Stephen Greer says it's all a psyop to make us think ill of the phenomenon, but clearly that is not represented by the facts as we know them. According to the Edgar Mitchell Foundation, astronaut Edgar Mitchell, they have done fantastic work investigating the UFO phenomenon, and in particular, the abduction phenomenon. According to their research, 8 out of 10 abductees who have had 10 or more abductions have a favorable view of the phenomenon. Is that Stockholm Syndrome? Is that, an evolving relationship with the phenomenon? Who knows? But it does show that abductees or contactees generally have a positive view of their experiences. Of course, these views are, recovered generally under hypnotic regression because the beings wipe their minds of these experiences. if it was a psyop to spread fear of the phenomenon, as Stephen Greer says, they wouldn't be wiping people's minds. So anyway, Stephen Greer is full of it, and I have a lot of issues with Stephen Greer. And for those of you asking me about my why I have a negative view of Stephen Greer, that is why. But again, I'm quick to point out when he does some good stuff. So I hope you will forgive this tangent, but I just wanted to address the Stephen Greer elephant in the room. But his information here is probably very accurate. The security measures for the UFO control group and these deep programs are pretty harsh, and I'm sure that many people have lost their lives and been, intimidated and threatened because of it. Getting back to the news, the media is starting to report on UFOs in a bigger way and in a more positive, balanced light. Here's an article from the Chronicle. U.S. government cites government authority to keep UFO information secret. And it basically gives a rundown of the Schumer-Rounds Amendment and David Grusch and where we are now. Here is an article from space.com that gives a very nuanced and balanced view of it, showing both sides. One side saying, well, the Schumer-Rounds Amendment was killed by aerospace companies exerting pressure on Congress, and another side saying we've seen no evidence of that. But at least they are covering it in a very balanced way, and they are not denying the reality of the UFO phenomenon. And nor should they, because check this out. News Nation poll. Most don't trust the government on UFOs, and nor should they. A new poll by News Nation Decision Desk HQ reveals 63% of Americans say they believe the government has more information about ETs than it is letting on. So yeah, that's fascinating. Of course, people that watch News Nation may be watching News Nation because of their UFO coverage, so the polling may be a bit skewed. But I do believe that a large percentage of Americans do feel the government is hiding stuff about UFOs, and of course they are. In other news, here's a UFO video that's been making the rounds, and it's really intriguing. Now, I don't know if this is legit. It's getting a lot of play. A lot of people are sharing this video. Some are saying the person that originated this video is a VFX artist. So just putting that out there. But it is, but that has not been corroborated as far as I know. This UFO is a spherical UFO doing some interesting things. Mick West, I'm sure, thinks it's a balloon, but you tell me if that moves like a balloon. Okay, that looks balloon-like. I grant you that. But check it out. It keeps going. It's almost a 6-minute video of this spherical UFO. And I've got to say, it doesn't, the camera movements and the movements of the UFO, it doesn't seem that fakey. I mean, it's a very authentic looking, video. If it's a fake, it's a good one, because look, the camera can't even find the UFO at this point. And, that would be an interesting detail, for a VFX artist to include. See, the camera's trying to find this thing and it can't, but there it is. There it is. There we go. And, yeah. And you can just barely see it. But wait a minute, because we do get some better shots of it. Just kind of going back and forth and side to side. And there you go. There you go. Able to zoom in on that thing. It seems to have possibly writing on the side. Something on the side. Look at that. Maybe some of you can figure that out. Is that, let me go back to that. You can almost see the texture of that thing. Is that a balloon texture? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be behaving balloon-like to me, but it says 30 right there. So, that's human language. That is human language. So, but look at it. It's not, that doesn't scream balloon to me. But it could be, and also a hoaxer probably wouldn't include the word 30 on there. So, are we looking at a drone disguised as a sphere I don't know. But it's been making the rounds, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Here's a much better UFO captured by Courtney Brown, who's been discussing his techniques for capturing these UFOs using high-definition, high-speed cameras.
Yeah, you see it break into two pieces there? It's there, you sort of break into two pieces again. It's actually two different discs, and they're like linked, and they're tumbling over each other. You see it break up quite a bit now as it's sort of doing. These configurations are, you see it breaking up clearly now? Yeah. These configurations are weird. I don't understand what the tech is involved, but the ships don't fly with the same configurations. They're not equally present globally. I just got back from Africa. I was trying to shoot the
Yeah, I'm going to talk more later about the distribution of UFO sightings across the world. I'm probably going to do a standalone video on that because I think that's an important and intriguing aspect of the phenomenon. But yeah, a really cool UFO video of this UFO that breaks into two. You know, what is that all about? How can we capture these UFOs? Well, Courtney Brown has the answers. I used to follow Courtney Brown a lot. He's the leader of the Farsight Institute, the remote viewing group. And I used to follow a lot of their material. But Farsight went in kind of a strange direction. And that's about the time that Dick Algeier and Daz Smith left to found their own group, Crypto Viewing, now called Future Forecasting Group. And I have continued to follow Dick and Daz, but not Courtney so much as far as the remote viewing goes. And but I'm really happy to see him getting on this, on board the UFO train. Yeah, he's always been interested in UFOs, but now he's studying them in a really compelling way, and even showing people how they can take these high quality UFO videos. And some of his information really corroborates Dr. Robert Shipe, who I've interviewed. I've shown multiple of his videos of these dragon UFOs. Dr. Robert Shipe sees that many of these objects, well, they love air shows. The UFOs love air shows. And Courtney Brown also says that. And I think that's really intriguing. So, yeah. But let me know what you think about that and everything else covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure appreciate it. Smash the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media. There's Facebook and Twitter links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Road in an even bigger way, please consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt. See the merch store below. Or become a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Also, channel members often get to see videos hours or even a day ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos to check out on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Road, signing out.